Hi there, I'm Linden Thorp. I'm sure you know who I am by now. Today I wanted to start this very special discussion on presence, which is so important now, without words or without spoken words. So I hope that you had some interesting experiences while you were watching the various videos and images and the animated words. It's really important to get away from talk, to get more into feelings. So yes, how did the wonderful movement person make you feel? When I saw that video for the first time, I was right inside my body. It was amazing. And animals, yeah, I spend a lot of time watching animals move. They are fascinating and they are utterly embodied. So, without more ado, another person who's really embodied is my guest today, Ebi-Sheila Diete Spiff. And just to repeat before I bring her on board, she's smiling wildly, let me again tell you what an amazing coach she is. She's a beacon of women's empowerment. She guides women to embrace their authenticity. She was born in England, Barnet in Hertfordshire, and she had many struggles during her life. And now she translates those into wonderful transformational coaching work. She was a single mother. She had the problems of juggling family and money earning, and a toxic marriage that ended in 2000. And so she had to break free from limiting beliefs through loving herself and getting mentally fit after all that struggle. So yes, now she works with women worldwide. She's just done a really successful summit called the Worthy Woman Summit, and I was so privileged to speak at that summit, which I really enjoyed. And her programs include things like Break Free from Toxic Relationships and Journey to Self-Mastery. And that offers tools to overcome trauma, which she did, confront self-doubt, which she did too, and build unapologetic confidence. Ebi's heartfelt coaching helps women align with their true inner values and their voices. Without more ado, Ebi, welcome. There you are. Wonderful. Let me make us a bit bigger.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Can you hear me? Oh, yeah, you can.
Oh, yes, I can. Don't worry. Yeah, I knew it would be okay when I'm trying to get this screen to get bigger, but here we are. Okay, there we are. Good. Okay. Oh, you look stunning today. Well, you always look stunning, but I mean, it's very special today. Wow. It's because we're going to talk about presence. Yeah. And we've got some really quite great questions, I think. And I should tell our live streaming audience on LinkedIn and YouTube that unfortunately Dr. Jamoussi can't be with us today. I don't think. She's traveling, and she said she would do her best to join at some point, but I don't think she will. So we'll have to do without her this week, but she'll be back next week. So, yes, Ebi-Sheila, what about, you saw my introduction, which is my new style of introduction, speechless style. What did you think about presence? What does presence mean to you personally?
To me, presence has two layers. One deeply personal, and the other flows into the way I work with women to my work. So personally, presence means coming home to myself, to me. It's the moment that I stop chasing perfection, because I think that's a big thing, isn't it? We're always wanting to be perfect. We always want things to be smooth, my summit taught me. I mean, there's a lot I've learned from it, like how Zoom works and all the reflections and all that. So, but I just thought, okay, I'm going to focus on the message, and it doesn't have to be perfect because then I can grow from that. But if I keep waiting for perfection, then I'll keep postponing and postponing because there's always something to perfect. Um, Also, stop replaying the past because that's the thing. I mean, I still find that difficult, going back to the past. What if I did it this way? What if I did it that way? Or rehearsing the future, and
Yeah.
maybe this. Sometimes we can imagine stuff, but when you finish your imagination and your visualization, you can just drop it. You don't have to keep thinking and rehearsing. But they start thinking, what if this happens? What if that happens? Which might never happen anyway. And instead, I allow myself to just be. And it just feels like slowing down. Take my breath, slowing that down. And it feels like being safe in my own skin, gives me more confidence. And it feels like I'm listening inward instead of outward. So presence is what helps me heal. It helped me heal after my illness and my relationship. And when I was always performing strength, I lived in my head because that's something I always thought it was. I always thought it was a positive, to live in my head, and be planning because I would plan 5 years ahead, 10 years ahead. But presence brought me back to my body and reminded me that I am whole, even as I grow. And I'm finding that journey really, really enjoyable. Able to feel more calm. And then in my work with women, presence is the foundation of transformation. So when I sit with a client, it's not just about strategies or goals. My presence creates a safe space for her presence. Because if I'm present, she feels that energy. Whereas if I'm just thinking about strategies, she feels disconnected. So presence allows me to really hear her. So not just hear her words, but the pauses, like the body language beneath the story. Because when you're present, you can see all those things and you can feel, because a lot of things is like feelings. So presence also gives her the permission to slow down, to notice herself, and to rediscover her true wisdom, what she really is. Presence is how self trust takes root. Because when she feels seen, so she's feeling it, she's not just hearing my words, she learns to see herself. So to me, presence is both a practice and a gift. So the practice of being with myself fully and the gift of offering that same spaciousness to others. So it's a two-way street.
Mm.
Yeah,
Mm.
that's
Mm.
really good.
Wonderful. Yeah,
Yeah.
great. And I think the whole business of presence, as you mentioned, is really giving people time, because it's not something they can suddenly slip into if they've had trauma in their life. As you say, you still have problems with replaying the past and anticipating the future because of your traumatic struggle in over a 20-year period, wasn't it, really? So we've got to give people time to be embodied. This is the problem I'm finding with young leaders and coaches, especially. They want it to be done overnight. They want a kind of 48-hour transformation to become embodied. And they think it's as simple as that. They think if they breathe and they lengthen their spine once or twice, they'll be there. But they really don't understand that at a cellular level, trauma, especially trauma, but also habitual bad practices store up in the cells. Deepak Chopra, who is one of my teachers, actually, one of my heroes, I don't know if you know him.
I
He's
do.
You
Yeah.
do? He's
Yeah. I've
fantastic.
followed him for years.
Right, me too. I actually met him and did some work with him once, which was superb. But he says, as you know, every thought you have ripples through every single cell of your body.
Mm.
And when I say that to people who want an overnight transformation, because they're in such a rush, Well, they kind of give up and say, well, how on earth can I catch up with all of this? So
That's a competition again.
yes, that's right.
Sometimes you compete against not just others, but even yourself. So that's how can I catch up? It's not about catching up, is it?
No,
It's
no,
about
it's
just
not.
facing. Yeah.
It's about, opening your heart. That's a
Mm.
good place to start. And then about regular practice, regular daily mindful practices, which my Lodestone is. That was why I created it, really, because people said, "Oh, I feel great when you're guiding me," but then what? In the next day, I sit down, try and do the same thing. Nothing happens. So that's why I created Lodestone, which is meant to replace me. It is me on every track. And I recorded 30 sessions, different sessions that move people towards breaking through their all the layers of conditioning so that they can glimpse their true nature again. And it takes a minimum of 30 days. Somebody the other day said to me, "Oh, this sounds great, but can I do it in 15 days?" And I said, "Not really, no, because, science tells us, psychiatrists and psychologists and so on tell us it takes at least 30 days to change a bad habit." So if
Yeah.
you,
So, but
yeah,
you're right about 30 days. But I've read somewhere that if you're 35 and below, obviously that's just generalizations. It's 60 days. So the 30 days gets you into a kind of that habit. But for your body to really change, is 60 days. And if you're above that, it's 90 days of consistency. So that's 3 months
yeah,
of consistently doing it every day. And if you fall off the wagon, and I guess I don't know, you can correct me on this. I'm not sure. That's one area I was a bit confused about. If you fall off the wagon, does it mean you have to start again, or your body can pick up from where you've?
yes, people ask me about that quite often. They're very worried if they can't attend one of my mindful moments sessions. And I said, well, it's okay. You can check the recording. But the thing is, Ebi, when people actually decide, and only they can decide when
Mm,
this is going to happen, yeah, first of all, there's hesitation. Am I going to do this? Can I do this? All these kind of, as you mentioned, these doubts and so on come up. And then maybe they make the commitment.
yeah.
Um, and once they've made that commitment, then it's
Mm,
really difficult to say how long it will take. I've known people break through quite quickly. Maybe
mm,
they've done a lot of yoga or something like that, a lot of body focus work or something. And so they quite quickly learn how to come down into the core and start to do the breathing work and the spine work and so on, and the whole body listening. And yeah, could be, more like 5 or 6 weeks. But they've made the decision and
yeah.
their body was behind it.
Mm,
Very often they say, "Oh, yeah, I've got to do something about my body. I'm so out of condition, and even though I go to the gym and I do all this stuff, I still feel terrible." And so, they are recognizing that really going to the gym is not going to change anything. It might get your pecs firm, but it's not really going to make fundamental changes because it doesn't sync the the unlimited mind, you see. So people are really trapped in the limited mind in every
mm.
attempt to do something different. I feel so sorry about that they think they can learn how to get into the unlimited mind like this. Well, it took me years. It took me oh,
Mm,
5 or 6 years through
yeah.
absolutely huge amounts of meditation, retreats, because I was going to be a Tibetan Lama. I did 5 or 6 years of all that. And then during that time, I really understood what the unlimited mind was, and I really started to live it. So it's very difficult to say how long it will take, but one thing is certain: if the commitment doesn't come from your heart,
Yeah.
then you'll stop, you'll miss, you'll find anything to get out of it. It's like going to church on a Sunday. I remember as a kid, I'd try and get out of it as much as I could, but it never worked because I got dragged off to church every Sunday. But anyway, so yeah, I think that moment when people commit to this work means that they have had a huge epiphany of some kind, which comes from
I
the
think I think that you when you said that word, it really struck me because I think that's it. It's not just saying it; it's feeling it in your heart. And once you do that, your body then recognizes that. Because when you just saying it, your body kind of thinks, "Oh gosh, you're just telling another lie to yourself," you
yeah,
know.
yeah,
But when you actually feel it, it just like you said, it can take like even seconds, and you just switch, and you find out that you're able, you can find the time to do it, Whereas when you're not really committed, you'll give an excuse, and I guess that's a signal that you're not committed, and so maybe you can go and do some more work because it's not a blame thing. It's just how we are. Because again, we haven't been taught this from when we're babies. So we're having to learn how to do it. So that makes it difficult. So we form bad and lazy habits as growing up. But now we have to try and change that because we recognize, but then we have to make that commitment. And if we're giving excuses, we know for ourselves that we're not committed. So we can do more work to get that commitment. It just takes time, that's all. So instead of giving up, we know, okay, I'm not committed. I know I'm not committed. Because when you recognize it again, it's a great thing. You recognize I'm not committed. And then when you make a small thing, so you do, even if it's a week and you fall off the wagon, you've done a week. And because it's not a habit yet, you've fallen off. That's okay. But you praise yourself and you say, well done. I did a week. It was really great. And I'm going to start again. And I'm going to start going. And then, yeah. And before you know it, you look back after 6 months or even less, and you kind of think, oh, this is part of me now. From those
yeah,
point of view, you just kind of think,
yeah, that's right. I think you've hit the nail on the head because, yes, when we talk is
chief.
from the limited mind, which is where most talk comes from, is it's a lie. Usually, we are so good. The limited mind is very good at lying, and very good at tricking, and it will convince you are going to do this work. You must do it, but your body hasn't said yes, and your unlimited mind hasn't said yes. So, really, before people can get into this moment of commitment, as we call it, um, they need some micro experiences. So, in fact, that's why I started Mindful Moments. I started 8 months ago, every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday on LinkedIn for 30 minutes to help people to lay down a foundation of mindfulness as I build it. And for me, it was quite hard to keep going because of my other commitments. But I knew that if I kept going, people would be inspired by that. And it would give them a micro experience of my commitment. And in fact, that has happened to a couple of people who've really stayed with it over the months. And yesterday, I had a message from one of the attendees. I won't say her name, but one of the LinkedIn attendees, and she said, "Oh, I get it," she said, with exclamation marks. And she said, "Yeah, because you're going, you're keeping going. I want to keep up with you. And it's not the same when I'm on my own and even though I've got Lodestone, I sometimes don't do it. And it's just so wonderful to have a human being, a real human being, not a video, because it's live every time when I do the mindful moments. And she said that really convinced me that you were speaking to my heart, she said. And in fact, this 3-day work is called Mindful Moments Touch Your Heart Every Day. And so that's what I try to do with the practice. And it's basically Lodestone practice, but it's slightly modified for complete beginners. So yeah, it's true. If people see others committing themselves, and it's absolutely visual, and there is evidence that it's live and it's happening right now, then that really speaks to the heart, and they take the plunge. Yeah. But to go back to your question, how long does it take? Well, it's really it really depends, because it's the reticular activating system, that part of the brain. Once you start to latch on to something like mindful practice or meditation or something like embodiment practices, then you pick a fruit from that tree. Okay, and you taste it, and it's lovely. And then maybe a few weeks later, you get another experience. So you pick another fruit, and it's even more delicious. And so, to me, it's like the reticular activating system really starts to work if there's a regular practice going on. And so I don't agree with many people who are meditating and so on that videos will do the trick. You cannot learn to break through your layers of conditioning through a video. You can't. You've got to have a human being there doing it with you. And that's why I chose audio transmission for Lodestone, because the whole body listening works beautifully with just the voice, So it's all about noticing. It's about noticing what's happening to you, as you said. Feeling.
So you mean that if it's a visual, I could be distracted from your visual.
Yeah.
But but so when it's just the audio, you can focus on yourself.
That's right. The whole world has gone video mad. And you see, the visual world is pulling us out through the eyes all the time.
Yeah. And that's a distraction.
There's a huge distraction. And so Lodestone just takes you immediately away from that. Everything is eyes half closed, look at the tip of your nose in true meditation style. And it's all voice. It's my voice. And I guide through the voice. And people just come down into their core, their unique core, And one person in the mindful moments afterwards, he said, Linden, I could listen to you all day. So I said, well, why don't you? and he laughed. And he said, well, I do as often as I can. So I think, with the right vocal transmission, because I worked so hard to make these audio files from my heart in a truly meditative state, then it comes through. People can feel it, and they trust. Yeah, they trust. And so I am audibly present. So today our topic is presence. But because of my training and because of my mission, my kind of burning mission to get people out of their limited minds, then the presence comes through the voice. And lots of people are noticing that we can be very present just with the voice. And we don't have to be all bells and whistles and fancy clothes and so on. We can come through the voice. And that's something I teach. to people, to how to transmit your heart through your voice.
I've learned something today, because like you said, the whole world is into the videos and the visuals. But now when you were talking, I was listening to my body, and I could feel the difference with when I've done things with just the voice, and the effect it has had on me. So yeah, this is really sunk in today. Thank you.
Great, great. My absolute pleasure. Yes, it's so true, because you, the limited mind operates only in the visible world. Okay, and we have in the visible world symbols. We have to have symbols. So we have images, we have words, but they're all symbols. What are they symbols of? Now, this is a question I ask a lot of people. What are they symbolizing? So they can't tell me, of course. And then they come and do some work, go down into their inner core, follow my voice, follow their breath, and afterwards they say, I don't want any more symbols. Yes, I want to get to reality. And this is the invisible world. It's the only place we're going to find reality. The visual world is just a dream world, really.
It's so true. You know, it's kind of you find your reality in the invisible world.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely. It's the only place. And
because that's where you find the real you, I guess. Because with the symbols, there's a lot of interpretation, which confuses us in the end. Because the same symbol, two different people, three different people, three different interpretations depending on their background. And so the only way you can really know the truth is to go within yourself, in the invisible world.
Yes. The invisible world is where we find reality. It's the only place. And through my life and training and so on, experience, I've learnt that the only way I can be sure I am now and here is through my breath in the invisible world. So if you take people into their inner core, and people find that very easy, actually. I'm always so surprised they're not scared. I think that's again me guiding them through from my heart, and they can trust me. And once they come down into their invisible core, which is unique to them, of course, and to each of us, then once they really start to breathe consciously with their breath from planet Earth, which is the only planet that creates breathable gas, and their incredible bodies with lungs that process oxygen 22 to 24,000 times every 24 hours for 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 years. Once they really start to get close to those feelings, and especially gratitude for the breath, people cry. I've never thought of being grateful for my breath before, but it's fundamental, really, that we couldn't exist without it. So once they come into the conscious breathing arena with me, then they then get a really strong feeling of now and here. And they realize that this is the anchor. This is the anchor of reality. And there's no interpretation. As you mentioned, we interpret symbols all day long, and we all interpret them differently, which makes it amazing that we ever get anything together.
That's why there's so much confusion, isn't it?
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing to me that we ever get on the same page, but we do somehow. That's the human spirit. So once they realize that down in their inner core, there is no interpretation at all. That's it. That's where it is. That's reality, now and here. And primitive people, First Nations and so on, talk about this all the time, because they're, embodied. and they're custodians of the earth. They will die rather than let the earth perish, And so they are always now and here, and that's where really they taught me. They taught me how to be now and here all the time, really. And so, yeah, it's a huge relief to people that they can get away from the symbols and they can just, and this, of course, gives you a tremendous feeling of your authenticity. Once your breath is really synchronized with the anchor of you, the now and the here, then you really start to feel you're being yourself. And so it depends how quickly people take to the invisible world, but in my experience, it's quite quick, usually. It's a relief for them, to find a refuge from all this constant interpretation, constant viewing of flashing symbols all over the world, all over the internet and so on. So, of course, as the internet becomes more and more accessible to more and more people, we're getting more and more burnout because people are really being pulled out of their bodies through their eyes into all the incredible stimuli. And so we need to balance desperately, all of us, we need to get balance so that the unlimited mind is in charge. Your unlimited mind is your CEO of whatever you're doing. Once that CEO is really in charge and knows it, well, this is the supreme leader. We talk about leadership, but your inner CEO is supreme leader, perfect leader. And so then, wow, we're home and dry. It's heaven. So, yeah, my mission is, I am so passionate about this because, as you can see from the way I speak, I know 100% that people can step out of their limited mind.
So how would you? So you often say that Lodestone helps people reconnect to their inner compass, which is what you've just been talking about now.
Yes.
So how does Zinzino's scientific approach, like the blood tests and the oils, support that embodiment work? How does that?
Yes. Work? Okay. Thank you. It's a great question. Well, first of all, Zinzino, which I think is a great word, is a Swedish word, and it means a little something. It's a very old Swedish word, which means a little triviality of some kind, a little something different, or something like that. Hard to translate, but so Zinzino is it's a Norwegian company. They consist of many scientists and doctors. And as you know, probably Sweden has some of the best medical care in the world. In fact, I've got a couple of Swedish doctor friends who you'll meet one day soon, who are coming on to the masterclass to talk. They have a fantastic system because they really embrace not just mainstream medicine, but all kinds of alternative medicine too. And one of my friends is, a supreme stress reducer within the national health system. You'd be lucky if you get the British health system to even acknowledge that such a thing exists. But Sweden is amazing. And Japan, well, forget it. Stress does not exist at all here. And that's why 2,000 people a year commit suicide, Anyway, my sarcasm is showing through. Sorry about that. But yeah, so Zinzino, yes, 20 years ago now, decided that people should take responsibility for their health and really start to do it, So they created at great length and great expense these home blood tests. And of course, I've used them. They're great. They're super easy to use. It's an automatic lance, which just takes a little prick of blood. You just so easy, and then you send off the blood test to Norway, and they analyse it, put the results onto the website, and what this does is it shows the fatty acids. They're called omega acids. Omega acids, there are 6 of them mainly, but they can get incredibly out of balance through lifestyle, through stress, but also through things like drinking too much and eating fatty foods and not getting enough exercise, that basic kind of healthy lifestyle stuff. And so what they have done, and they perfected it really, is they produce many natural products which will start to balance the fatty acids. So the very first product you will get is called Balance oils. And you take them every day, and it's a 120-day cycle. So you do your first blood test, and then 4 months later you do your last one, and those omega acids will all have been leveled out. When I first took this, I was amazed because through menopause and so on, my nails were just terrible. They broke all the time. Look at them and they'd break, terrible. And I was really fed up because everything I touched was, my nails were catching and they were sore. So I started taking the balance oils. Within 4 weeks, they were growing back beautifully, and they've never ever returned to that terrible state, because this balance oil contains Arctic anchovy oil. Sounds exotic, doesn't it? So from the very purest areas of northern Sweden, they collect oil from anchovies and special organic olives and organic rosemary and mint. So the balance oil, it tastes lovely, but it's just so rich. And so it balances all of these fatty acids. So Lodestone is the perfect accompaniment for this. And so the Lodestone is a 30-day cycle. Lodestone 1, Lodestone 2 is on the way. That'll be slightly longer than 30 days. But 30 days of regular transmissions, 30 minutes a day, that's all. And of course, you can do it more, and you can go back if you miss something. It's okay. But so with the Zinzino program, you can do this 4 times. You can do Lodestone 4 times, and so you just get into this lovely daily habit of taking your oils with your food. It's very palatable. And doing your practice, you've made a time, you find your candle corner, in your cushions or wherever you are, and you just do the whole thing. And of course, there's an option to go to Lodestone 2 if you feel you've really got back in touch with yourself. But at that point, I talk to people and I really ask them if they really have found their authentic self. I've got some very deep questions to ask them about that. And so then I recommend that they do it once more, and and so on. And so, yeah, it's a 4-month program. You mentioned 4 months before, didn't you? 3 or 4 months. Yeah, that's what it takes, really, to really be sure. And the moment they meet their authentic self is fantastic. And what happens with Lodestone is there's a sanctuary page on the website. So once you've got the lifetime license, every time you listen to an audio, all the audios are on this sanctuary page, or you can download them as well. But you can say what you felt. And it's interesting because some people at the beginning say, oh, nothing, didn't feel anything. And someone else will say, yes, I just spent the whole time crying. You know, all sorts of very extreme reactions. And oh, what a beautiful voice you've got. Do you sing? This kind of thing. But then gradually it starts to sink in and, you know, really starts to become an embodiment. And then everything changes. Then they're saying extraordinary things. And I've started to put all this together. And I'm going to, you know, publish a paper soon on it. And I'm getting a research project together to get some doctors to do it, so that it's got more authority and so on. So yeah, it's very exciting, and I think because it's not talk, it's not therapy. You know, as I mentioned to you the other day when we were talking, I know several people who've been in therapy for 30 years to embody them. You know, and I say, well, did it work? Well, I'm a bit better. 30 years, you know, of talk. It will never work because that's the limited mind.
Yeah, yeah,
Only the limited mind can talk
yeah.
using symbols, you know.
I've been down there. So
Which
I mean, I just wanted to ask you. I mean, since we're talking about presence, because so many women know something's missing, but don't have a map where to start. So presence doesn't just come from forcing yourself to be mindful, like you said, like you indicated earlier. It goes step by step. So personally, I guide women. They start with their body. Like you said, place your hand on your chest and have that feeling, or your belly. Take deep breaths. Breaths very important. Also practicing micro moments. So don't wait for a retreat. You know, maybe go out for a walk in the morning, or just notice the way the coffee or the tea goes down your throat. Mindful eating or mindful drinking. Also, I take them through creating space before reacting, and choosing one daily ritual. So, what I wanted to find out from you is, in terms of burnout, because these are some things that I help women with to avoid burnout. But in terms of your Lodestone practices together with Zinzino, it's like a tongue twister for me. How do you help women prevent that burnout? I mean, how can I add to my practices with what I'm already doing to combine
you
that?
sound as if you're giving some really sound advice to me. But yes, I think really the key is for burnout to get the vagus nerve going, to get to the tone working. So, you know, most people who live in the developed world, very poor vagus nerve tone. You know, the vagus nerve comes from the cranium, down the sides of the neck, into the chest, down into the gut, into the arms. And in developed people, it's very poor because we're not really alive in a way. We're living beneath roofs and we're not going
Yeah,
outside, and you know, we don't
nature.
stimulate our breath very often, this kind of thing. So for me, the most important thing really is to get the vagus nerve working properly. And that, you know, takes really quite a while because the type of whole body listening that I use, some people just can't get it at first because they can't imagine their whole body listening. This is the limited mind. They're really trapped in the limited mind. And they say, well, how can my elbow listen? You know. And so it does take quite a long time to actually convince them that their whole body is just, you know, covered in a membrane of skin, which is quite thin, actually.
And in
And
that question of how can my body listen, your body listens in terms of, you might feel some sort of a twinge, or you might feel hunger in your belly, or you might feel something in your chest.
yeah,
So your body, yeah, when you're going through things, if you listen, you can feel something somewhere.
yes, that's right. But they don't get that, and they don't can't associate with the body yet. And that's how, you know, trapped they are in the limited mind. I wrote a post the other day about, living life as a pencil. A pencil is a tool, and if you don't put it down, then it's going to become your whole life. So what they have done is they've lived with their phone or their internet site or whatever it is all the time, and they can't switch off from it, and they don't know there's anything else. And so they can't get out. Really, they can't get out. And so the mind, the limited mind, is still talking to me and saying, how can my whole body listen? Don't be stupid, when basically that's how animals survive. That's how First Nations survive some of the harshest places on Earth, because they can use their whole body to detect a sandstorm coming or a herd of elephants coming there.
Yeah. You see that when you talk about burnout, your body gives you signals, doesn't it?
Yes.
So that's one thing. So when we're disconnected, we don't listen to those signals until we finally burn out.
Yes.
But by then it might be, I won't say it's too late, because it's never too late, but it's difficult to get out for some people. Because from burnout, you can get into depression.
Yes, yes, that's right. Yes, absolutely. If you are trapped in your limited mind, you can't get the signals. If your vagus nerve is very poor in tone, no, you can't get those signals, because this nerve is colossally strong. It gives feedback, incredible feedback to the brain of what's happening in your gut. And you may, as you mentioned, you may get a little twinge in your gut or in your solar plexus,
but it's not usually a little twinge, because I think sometimes, and that's been scientifically proved, that sometimes when you're stressed and you're feeling that pain in your gut, what happens is that sometimes over the years, some people end up with bowel cancer or IBS or something, because that pain you're feeling in your gut through that anxiety or that stress, it's your body signaling to you that something's not right.
Yes, that's right. Another way, this may appeal to you, Ebi, another way to look at this word disease is dis-ease. And that's the origin of it, really. We are not easy with our body.
Yeah. Okay. It's out of ease with your body.
Yeah, out of ease. Dis-ease. Negative dis-ease. Positive. So we are not easy in our body, and that's when cells go rogue, cancer develops or whatever. Pancreatic, what do I mean? Diabetes. All of these diseases come from diseased body. And so if you are really balanced, and if you're getting all the signals, and if you're stepping out of the tool of your mind, putting your pencil down for a good period of the day, then you are going to avoid burnout altogether, and probably dis-ease. And once you're really easy with your body, because the spirit is there guiding the body.
That's why the Buddhists, that the Buddhists tend to have very long and healthy lives to the end. Yes,
that's it.
And the monks, because of going into the body. And so when there's a problem and you recognize there's a signal, then you can do something about it. But if you ignore those signals, it extends into something worse. Yes,
that's right. Yes, most monks in the Buddhist tradition, and me included, will never die in pain. And they will choose their death.
How do you do that?
Well, you're so balanced that you know when your time to move on is coming. So there's so many parallels with First Nations, because they also know the time of their death.
Like the animals, because the animals in the old days, when they were not domesticated, when it's their time, they walk
Absolutely.
to the place of peace in the jungle, and then they
Absolutely.
just lie down there.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's it. That's it. And so, yeah, we have no fear about it. And the Buddhist training, and for animals too, we know that once we've left our physical self, that our spirit illuminates the sky. The physical life is called samsara. Samsara is suffering, really. Suffering, translated as suffering. And so what we do through meditation, through balance work, through all the work I do, is we balance out the suffering, and we remain aware, always aware. A Buddhist is always aware. We don't have moments when we switch off. Even asleep, I'm aware. That's years of training.
I would love to get there. I think I'm kind of halfway there, but I need to get there.
Brilliant. Oh, I knew you were. I recognized. But yes, how fabulous to have no fear. I have no single fear about death or dis-ease at all. And I'm not young, as you know, I'm getting on. But it's just heavenly to exist, with my breath, with my beautifully balanced body, with my unlimited mind. So it's like living in the sky all the time, really. It's wonderful. So when we talk about presence, we've gone, off at a tangent in a way, but it's all related, I feel. Presence, yeah. If we are really on a balancing track, we're on the track to balancing, our presence starts to radiate. It comes from deep inside us. It's not something you can learn. It's something that comes from that commitment we mentioned earlier, commitment to transform, to do this work, to get this balance in place. Then it radiates, and you don't have to do anything. You walk into a room, people listen. So funny. I've got a funny story about this, because here in Japan, we of course have onsen, which is hot springs, translated roughly. And so if you go to the onsen, it consists of these huge baths of mineral water, and you share the bath with other people and so on. So I'm the only foreigner usually, and you have to be naked. You have to be naked, and so they give you this tiny towel that's this thin, and you hold it in front of you, but it doesn't cover any of me at all, because I'm pretty large. And so anyway, getting into the onsen, I was walking in one day, and with my very flimsy towel, and when I got into the onsen, this woman came up to me, a Japanese woman, and in very good English, she said to me, "Wow, you are amazing." And I said, "Me? Oh, why? Is it my boobs, or what is it?" She said, "Oh, it's your aura." "Oh, really? So you can see my aura?" She said, "Yes, and I can tell you are very special." And so it turns out she's an advisor to the Japanese government. She happened to be on holiday in my local onsen. And so she spotted my aura. And so now she wants me to advise the Japanese government.
Wow. That's a big step.
Yeah, she wants me to work with her. She's based in England, but she wants me to work with her to try and make some changes in Japan, because change is very difficult here, and especially regarding embodiment. So yeah, she saw it straight away. That comes from deep inside. It's nothing to do with the size of my boobs or anything like that. I don't think. So yeah, it's about trust, really. I think for your clients, they've got to trust that, that this will
Trust
work.
themselves from within.
Yeah, but it's not possible from
No,
here.
no.
If they have to do the practice, they have to get into Lodestone, get Lodestone, and get Zinzino, and then you've got the science and the spirit really meeting, and
Yeah.
within 4 months you'll be transformed. Yeah.
Right.
Wonderful, Ebi. So I think I've kept you very long time today. It's been
Oh, it's been
superb.
a lovely conversation. I love it. I've learned so much.
Me too. It's great. I love talking to you. It's great. We're really on the same level altogether. It's superb. So thank you so much for coming again. And dear Mouhibah, I hope she can watch the video and catch up, because she would have about 10 million questions, I think, after our conversation today. And we'll see her next week, I'm sure. So thank you so much. And yes, I hope really I'm reaching you through my heart, and you will reach your loved ones through your heart. And it all comes from the heart. The heart is the brain. The heart is the true brain. And actually, if you analyze it, it is full of neurons. Different centers of the heart produce enormous number of neurons. And so, we can say with absolute certainty, the electromagnetic vibrations the heart emits are 60 times stronger than this little organ between the ears.
Yeah.
So there's kind of physical proof, really. Your heart is everything. So, my dear, thank you so much. It's been fabulous. And I look forward to next week. It's a great way to start the weekend. And we always have a good laugh and good stories. And I hope we can really get to work together more and more in the future. And I hope you rest after your wonderful summit. Which I
Thank
really,
you.
yeah,
Thank you.
excellent. So take care, and I'll speak to you very soon. Okay, see you. Bye. So, my dear friend Ebi-Sheila, we had a great conversation. I hope you benefited from it, and I hope you'll be back again next week. LinkedIn members and YouTubers, we're here every Friday. If you would like to join us in the studio, just DM me and I'll send you a live link. And then you can ask us questions right here and now. So please don't hesitate to get in touch. Let me also remind you that on Monday we have Lodestone Lunch, which is really designed for coaches and educators who need a place to regenerate themselves and also get some embodiment experience and gems. So join us on Monday for Lodestone Lunch at 12 noon on Monday BST. I'll be putting some adverts out about that very soon. Okay, so have a great weekend. I hope you've enjoyed this. I'll just show you the principal image again. We've talked about how presence attracts wealth and expands your leadership. We didn't talk about wealth today, but maybe we'll talk about that next week and continue the conversation. So thank you so much, and I'll see you next Friday. Bye for now.